What's going on, you guys? It is Holden and Cody with SEC Talk. We're doing this in a different kind of way tonight. Obviously, if you're looking at the screen here, you do not see Cody, and there's a reason behind it. What else is new? We do have a little bit of technical difficulties. Again, nothing new there when it comes to stuff. I do have Cody on the phone, and when I say on the phone, I mean literally. He's on the phone. I hope the audio quality turns out okay for this episode. May not, but it's going to be phone quality audio. That's all there is to it. Cody, talk to me a little bit about the great sound that we've got to witness so far.
It ain't gonna be no worse than the other night. That's just all.
Yeah, the other night was probably the worst episode I think that we've ever had. But that was just, again, that was all.
Look, guys, this is season 1. There's a lot of hiccups we ain't quite worked out. Okay.
It all just boils right back down to technical difficulties and getting it figured out. But every time, every week, no matter how bad it is, we do seem to get it figured out. So, are you saying that because of the Houston game, or are you saying that because I'm drinking tea?
Houston's up 42-31.
Yeah. Again, you guys, y'all know this by now. We record on Thursday evenings. You get it Fridays. We record Sundays after games on Monday, and you get them on Monday. I mean, games on Saturday, so you get them Monday. So, obviously, this is Thursday night. This is what we're looking at. It's going to be short, sweet, and simple. We're going to go through a little bit of news for you guys. We'll preview the games coming up this weekend, in and around the league as usual. Go through some bet lines with you. We got our picks, MadDawg Picks coming up. We'll review. I think we did it Sunday, but we'll review it again, the East and West ranked so far. And then we'll end it with our Under the Lights segment, running through some of the high school stuff, which a lot of games are actually going to be played. A few I've noticed looking earlier are actually being played tonight. They're actually moving some of them up to be able to get in before some of this storm comes. As far as really not in the Georgia area, I think most of that's actually over in the Alabama area. Some of the teams that are playing more like in the middle Alabama or a little bit further west, which kind of segues us right into some of the news, and most of it's pretty much related to some of the games that are being affected by Delta. I know the LSU game, it's no longer in Baton Rouge. It's no longer a home game for LSU. They're actually going to play up in Columbia and Missouri. So that's a move. The Louisiana Raging Cajuns, as Cody says it, they are no longer going to play that game. That one's being postponed. Cody, I think you had some news out of Alabama too.
If you're going to do it, you got to do it right, man. It's the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. Okay?
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah, the Alabama game versus Ole Miss got pushed up an hour. Regular kickoff was at 5. They pushed up to 6:30, I think.
Push back. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
I mean,
just go with it.
Listen here. Don't get picky now, okay? It's too late. But as far as that goes, I mean, I know, like you mentioned, a lot of the games are being pushed around, either relocated or postponed. Besides that news, the only other news I saw was a couple hours, or let me see, what was that? Earlier today, Kansas coach, former LSU head coach Les Miles, has tested positive for the coronavirus. This is coming from ESPN. They said the news came today, actually, from the University of Kansas. Haven't heard any more on that. And I know they played Oklahoma State last week, so
yeah,
really don't know how that's going to turn out.
Yeah, hope everything turns out good. I do think that Mike Norvell down there at FSU, I think he's supposed to be back this weekend. Even though he was out last weekend, same thing, coming down with the virus. Again, prayers to Les Miles there at Kansas and anybody that could be affected by it. And do you remember, or were you able to find out who they played last week? Because I know he was on the sideline in the game they played last week.
Oklahoma State. I said that.
Oh, you did say it? Sorry. It's easy for me to go, kind of blank right over it.
You don't listen anyway, so.
Well, speaking of them, let's go ahead and jump into the games coming up this weekend. Got it on the side of the screen there for you, at least our SEC games. Cody, you want to go ahead and run through a few of them for us, previewing some of the weekend's games?
There's a game going on right now with Tulane and Houston. Houston going into the fourth quarter on 42-31 on Tulane.
It's been a pretty tight one.
Well, I think last year Tulane actually ended up beating Houston, so it looks like Houston's getting some revenge on this year.
Yeah.
Besides that, you covering the non-SEC games?
Yeah. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, we'll do around the league to start it, and then we'll jump into the league.
Actually got a game tomorrow night in Atlanta. Georgia Tech taking on Louisville. That game's set to kick off at 7 Eastern on ESPN. Continue on down. Saturday, an early kickoff at 12 with Virginia Tech and North Carolina kicking off on ABC. All these games are at Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, that Virginia Tech North Carolina game. I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing that. One, to kind of see, is North Carolina for real? Are they a real team? They are favored by 5 points in that one, over under 59. But I'm excited to see what old Mac Brown does up there. Maybe they can get it done. I know the weather pretty much down here in the southeast is not looking real good over the weekend as this storm does approach. So same thing up there in the Carolinas. It looks like the weather's not going to be all that great. But I'm excited to see it. I don't think Virginia Tech's a bad team. I don't think North Carolina is either. But struggling with Boston College this past week, it'll be interesting to see how they shake stuff out this week.
Well, there's a guarantee in this one. Somebody's going to come out with a loss. Both of these teams are going in undefeated, so third game of the season for them. We'll see how that turns out. Continuing down, another early kickoff is another big rivalry in the Red River rivalry. In Texas, number 22 taking on Oklahoma, which is coming off of a 2-losing streak and are actually a 2.5-point favorite in this game.
Look at that over-under in this one.
Over-under at 72, so they're predicting no defense.
They don't have a defense. Texas. Neither of them do. Texas should have the same rank, and neither of them should be in the top 25, but they should both be 1 and 2 right now. Texas just got lucky the week before.
Oklahoma's not in the top 25, so.
I know. They shouldn't be. Neither should Texas, though. But they'll. I think we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. Like you say, there ain't no defense happening, though.
And that one not so much. NC State's taking on Virginia on the ACC network at 12 o'clock Eastern. They got Virginia favoring that one by 8 points. Over and under is 59.5, so that's going to be I'm going to predict to be a somewhat close game.
Mm-hmm.
I think the closest one I've seen so far would probably be the game kicking off at 12:30 Eastern on ESPN3. 0-4 Duke taking on 1-2 Syracuse, and Duke is the favorite by 1 point. With an over and under of 52.
I wonder if there's ever been a line where a team was favored by half a point. Surely there has.
Well, that's close enough.
Yeah.
0-3 Citadel's taking on Army. Army's a 29-point favorite in that game. I'm sure that won't be too hard for them. It's kicking off on CBS Sports Network at 1:30 Eastern. BYU's taking on UTSA. I think it's the University of Texas, St. Austin. BYU is a favorite, 34.5 points, and over/under 63.5. So, again, a no defense game in that one also.
Houston just scored again.
Yeah, look at that. Texas Tech's taking on Iowa State. Iowa State had the upset last week. Yeah, over Oklahoma. Iowa State's actually favored in this game, 12.5 points, over and under 64.5. That game's kicking off at 3:30 on ABC, so that'd be another good one to watch.
Yeah, Iowa State. I think they're a real team. I like them. I like them a lot. I think. I don't think that they're necessarily going to run the race there in the Big 12, but I think they can definitely be that thorn in the side. Obviously, they were against Oklahoma, but I do think the team to beat in the Big 12 this year is going to end up being Texas. The thing about Texas is if Texas wins out, they're going to be right back up there at the top and be in contention at least for the Big 12. But I think Oklahoma State's going to be the team this year to beat.
Yeah, that's just Texas has that one loss that they gotten from Kansas State. No, yeah, right, Kansas State.
No, Oklahoma beat Kansas State. Texas lost this past weekend.
Oh, okay. That's right. Oklahoma lost to Kansas State and Iowa State.
Yep. Texas lost to Texas Tech this weekend, wasn't it?
No, Texas beat Texas Tech.
Oh, was that the one 2 weeks ago that I told you they were losing and about to lose and they came back? Who did they lose to this past weekend?
TCU.
TCU, that's it. It was another Texas school.
It was one of the Texas schools.
That was it. Yeah. Sorry.
Anyway, sidetrack. But Iowa State's taking on Texas Tech at 3:30 Eastern on ABC. Iowa State is the favorite in that game. Central Arkansas is taking on Arkansas State at 3:30 on ESPN3. Arkansas State's favorite. Local team here in Troy is taking on Texas State at 3:30 on ESPN3 also. Troy's the favorite in that game by 7 points. Pittsburgh's taking on Boston College at 4 Eastern on the ACC Network. Kansas State taking on TCU at 4 p.m. Eastern on Fox. TCU's actually the favorite in that game, 8.5. Navy's taking on Temple at 6 p.m. Temple's actually the favorite, 3.5 points over Navy. So that will be fun to see how that turns out. I guess the big matchup of the day or the night that everybody's been watching is Miami and Clemson.
Yep.
Kicking off at 7:30 Eastern on ABC. Clemson is the 14-point favorite in that game. But we'll get to our picks later on.
I'll tell you, there is a good thing. One thing that I do like about Clemson playing on that stage, Dabo fussed about it a little bit last year, saying that Clemson never really got to play in a position where a lot of people got to watch them. One is, and I was talking to a good friend of mine earlier today, and he said he actually had a really good point, and I think we've kind of felt this way as well, is Clemson. And it's smart of Dabo Swinney, like the guy I was talking about. He said basically this exactly. He said it's extremely smart of Dabo to be where he is and stay put, because you kind of see the writing on the wall that the ACC is about to be wide open for him. If he can recruit, get good guys in there, and just roll on with it, he ain't got competition. Now this year he has it because you do have Notre Dame that's in there, which Notre Dame plays Florida State this weekend. Florida State hadn't been anything in a while. And they ain't anything this year. I hate to tell the Seminoles down there, but you get that test, and then your other test comes right here with Miami. You do have North Carolina in there, and again, we'll kind of see how they look this weekend. They didn't look good this past weekend, but Miami is the test for them. I think Miami is the first test. Then you're gonna get Notre Dame in a little while. I think a couple more weeks. But Miami's the test, and I wouldn't be surprised if you get an upset in that. Again, we'll kind of get to our picks when time comes. But I'm looking forward to it, and I'm glad that the game is on ABC. A lot of people get to see it. You know, ABC is a channel that a lot of people get, even if you don't have, like, cable or something like that. You can pretty much get ABC, and, sorry, I get sidetracked because Houston just fumbled the ball, and Tulane got it back off a punt. But anyways.
Clemson doesn't play North Carolina this year.
Clemson's not playing North Carolina?
Nope, they got Georgia Tech, Syracuse, Boston College, Notre Dame, FSU, Pitt, and Virginia Tech to finish the season.
Huh. Well, maybe, who knows? Maybe old Mac Brown can roll on the other side of the division and play them in the ACC championship. But I think Notre Dame is playing on that opposite side in the division, so that may be tough for you. So I'm assuming North Carolina and Notre Dame will play then.
Yeah, Notre Dame and North Carolina is second to the last game of the season.
Okay. Well, so we'll get some answers later down the season. But again, everybody will get to watch this game. It's a later game. One thing that I will say, excuse me, my whole throat there. One thing that I was listening to earlier is in your top 25, you've got a few of the Big Ten and one of the Pac-12 teams that are in there that are not yet playing and not playing until the end of this month and the start of November. But over half, or right at half, I think it is, of the top 25 is not playing this weekend. But even though that's the case, in your top 25, I think you've pretty much went through them outside of the SEC that we're about to get to. In the top 25, even though like right at half of them aren't playing, you have got some really good games this weekend. You've got one there in an SEC team that's a matchup in the top 25. Tech and North Carolina, top 25 matchup. Texas, Oklahoma is not a top 25 matchup, but still going to be a good game. Tennessee, Georgia, again, SEC, we're getting to it. Good top 25 matchup. University of Texas, San Antonio playing BYU. Even though I think BYU will probably take care of business, they're expected to beat them by 34.5. UTSA is 3-1 coming into the game. Arkansas, Auburn. I'm looking forward to that one. Again, we'll get into the SEC. We'll talk about it in just a minute. Miami, Clemson, you got a top 10 matchup there, and Florida State, Notre Dame, not so much. But even though half the top 25 is not playing this weekend, you still got a really good slate of games in your top 25 matchups, and some that are outside. But I mean, I'm looking forward to this weekend. And the best part about it is some of these games you're getting boom right off the bat. 12 o'clock, we're kicking it off right as soon as game day ends. Guess what? We're getting fired up with Florida playing, Virginia Tech, North Carolina. The Red River rivalry, like you said, is coming out. Those games in, boom. Then you get a couple more coming in at that 3:30 spot, 4 o'clock. And then once those games are over, you got a couple more good ones to look forward to end your night there at 7:30. So it's a really busy weekend, exciting, looking forward to the games that are coming up. And, yeah, I mean, what else can you say about it? Other than if you ain't got anything else outside of the league, we'll start to jump into our SEC talk with the games that we got coming up.
Yeah, I think you pretty much covered it pretty well. Like you mentioned, there's a lot of games that you got playing. You have a bunch of top 25 matchups in the SEC playing this week. But for the most part, over half your top 25 either they're not playing or they're on a bye week.
Yeah.
But looking at the slate for SEC games this weekend, you got 3 early kickoffs at 12 o'clock. One on ESPN, Florida versus Texas. Number 4 Florida taking on number 21 Texas A&M. Texas A&M coming off a rough kind of start to the season. But with Florida only being favored by 6.5 points over an A&M, I think Jimbo can still pull out some tricks there at College Station. They get Florida at home, which is a plus. So hopefully we can see
Yeah, they got to get something fired up there at Texas A&M because they have not been competitive to start this year for sure.
Yeah, they've been kind of on the downhill slope. Looks like. I don't know if it's just because coronavirus and they just had an off week or what. But hopefully Jimbo can get the Aggies sit there and fired up and get something going on down there in College Station. Yeah,
because Florida's offense, they're rolling. Their defense, we still have yet to see them show up, but their offense is rocking along. Kyle Trask, he's got them picked up, lined up. Maybe Texas A&M defense can at least show up in this one, and maybe Kellen Mond finally gets some stuff started. Again, and if you've been listening to us, you know that we've, especially me, have been pretty high on Kellen Mond, and it just has not been at all what I anticipated Texas A&M to look like. And back to Kyle Trask, did you hear the news out of him this week that he grew up, his family was major Texas A&M guys, and his name, Kyle, actually comes from Kyle Field. He was actually named after the Texas A&M stadium, or field, whatever.
So there's going to be a redemption type game then for him.
Yeah. Be kind of a big deal.
Also at 12 o'clock, we have 0-2 Missouri taking on number 17 LSU. LSU had a real rough start beginning the season with a loss to Ole Miss or to Mississippi State, and turn around and play Vandy and just beat the dog snot out of Vandy because they're Vandy. They're the punching bag of the SEC. It's going to be interesting to see what Missouri does. Missouri, I think, has one of the roughest starts to the SEC. Their first 2 games are against Alabama and Tennessee, and they kept those games, I think, closer than we all thought they initially would. But at the same time, it's just, you never know.
Yeah.
We'll find out how real LSU is this week when they play Missouri.
Yeah, and
Missouri is going to play them. So.
Yeah, you'll get at least a little bit of a test out of it. I do think the biggest reason and the timing behind Mizzou being able to stay not really in the game with Alabama, because Alabama still rolled on them pretty good, but they still stuck around. And same thing again last week against Tennessee is their defense. Even though Barry Odom's not there, he's down at Arkansas. Obviously, his defense at Arkansas came in handy this past week as they get the win over Mississippi State. But I think Missouri's defense still looks good, and that was one thing somebody was telling me was, well, Tennessee's got the best line, the O-line, that they think, at least in the SEC. And I'm thinking, okay, well, if Missouri's defense was able to get through and penetrate that line and still cause a little bit of havoc down there, I got a pretty good feeling Georgia can probably do the same thing. And we'll see. I think it's going to be a good matchup in that Tennessee-Georgia game. We'll get to that in a minute. But I'm like you. I just don't know about LSU. I don't know if – I don't think they're terrible, but there's just a lot of question on the West because you got, like you say, Mississippi State opens the season. They take down LSU. And then they turn around and lose to Arkansas. Now, we obviously saw the Arkansas start against Georgia, and they looked good in the first half against Georgia defensively, especially. In the end, not so much. But then they turn around and they beat Mississippi State, so it makes me just sit back and I go, who is good and who is not good this year? Because is Mississippi State good? Are they a fraud? Is Arkansas good? Are they a fraud? Is LSU? I mean, a lot of questions. That's why, same thing going back to our college football playoff picks. I think we can, let's get another. Really, I don't want to pick a winner until we see Ohio State get on the field, until we see a couple of other gets on the field. But by then, we're going to have a college football playoff ranking coming out not long after. So we might have to pick it a little bit early, but I do want another week or so maybe to kind of figure it out. Are these teams actually good or are they not? And I think within the next week or two we're going to find out if LSU struggles with Missouri or if they handle them, so be it. If Arkansas was to take down Auburn, that you kind of start to get some answers there. Mississippi State, let's see if they take down Kentucky easily. That may be your answer. Kentucky is a little bit more down than I thought they'd be. But maybe they bounce back this week playing at home against Mississippi State.
Well, I think with Kentucky, that first game they played Auburn and lost 29-13, then turn around and play Ole Miss and lose by 1 point right there at the end. So, with Kentucky, I don't think there's anything wrong. They were Kentucky. They were a 2-point favorite over Mississippi State. But, they're playing at home in Lexington. They do get the home field type advantage, so we'll definitely see what Kentucky and Mississippi State's made out of. Continue on down, you got South Carolina taking on Vandy, also at 12 o'clock Eastern on the SEC network. That game playing in Nashville, so Vandy getting the home field advantage there. Really and truly, old Vandy, I think they're just here.
They are definitely, after Arkansas's win last week, they're definitely kind of keeping up the bottom of the SEC.
Yeah, poor old Vandy.
South Carolina's not all that great either, though. We'll see.
Well, South Carolina, once again, you got to look at their first 2 games were against Tennessee and Florida. Both of those games, I think, just like, with Kentucky, they're closer than we initially thought. They stayed with Tennessee, kept that game at 27 to 31 game. And then Florida kept it a 14-point game, where Florida's supposed to be this high-flying offense. Well, their defense is slacking a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, this weekend with Florida taking on A&M, we'll see A&M or Florida's defense finally be challenged.
Yeah.
And to see, is Florida worth the hype, or are they just there?
Yeah.
Because if A&M runs all over them, because Azaleas Spiller with A&M has on the year 19 carries for 142 yards.
Mm.
So he's moving on the ground a good bit. So we're going to find out how real of a defense Florida has Because if it ain't what we think it is, I think we can go ahead and knock them out for the rest of the season. Because if your defense ain't there, you can't win a game.
Yeah. No, that's true. Well, coming in next on your line, I'm going to go ahead and pull it up for you just because I got a little bit of music, and, of course, you can't hear it. You get that. It's the 3:30 kick on CBS. Tennessee, number 14 Tennessee, taking on number 3 Georgia there in Athens. The game does come in at a 12.5-point favorite for the Dogs. Over/under on that was 43. We will get to the picks and stuff in it in just a minute. But this is one I'm looking forward to. Again, it's one of those, is Georgia, their offense started to come alive against Auburn, which is always a good thing. The defense, I think, is not only the number one in the SEC, I think they may be number one in the country. We'll see. You got to continue to have these havoc rates and everything like that up. But I do know that Tennessee doesn't look bad this year. They look pretty good. They have stepped up where I thought Kentucky would this year. But so be it. They don't look bad. There's a reason they're in the 14th spot. But I'm hoping that Georgia can come in and really rock on with them. Part of that being biasy, but Tennessee does have a good O-line. And that's going to be one thing Georgia's going to have to get through and cause some penetration on that line to get to the quarterback to make a difference. Because if you give Garantano some room back there and some time, he can make things happen. He can move in the pocket and kind of get some stuff going. We'll see how Stetson Bennett, if he can continue to get the things rolling with the offense there at the quarterback spot. Maybe we see JT Daniels if he gets in a tough spot or not. Not sure. I know the Dogs' defense, again, harping on that, they look really good. So I don't think it's going to be easy for Tennessee to score. You got to take advantage of every opportunity that you're given. If you're in the red zone and you don't get it, go for it on 4th down a couple times. I get that, but at the same time, remember, you got to have points to win a game. And I'll be interested to see also how does Tennessee's defense look? Are they going to be a little bit more stout? Is it going to be a little bit tougher to put up against Georgia? We'll see. Tell me kind of how you lay and sit on that one.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, Georgia's defense looks real good up front. The thing that I'm worried about with Georgia is their secondary. We saw them giving up some big plays against Arkansas, and there against Auburn, they give a couple of deep passes. And from the way it looks, Tennessee likes to go over the top quite a bit, so they may try to take advantage of that. But it's also going to be raining up there in Athens. That's the time of the game. They got it predicted to storm pretty good. So
it's going to be a lot like the Kentucky game was last year, where it was just wet, sloppy. It was dark in the Kentucky game. It won't be in this one, but still that overcast, rainy kind of day. I know you and I talked about it a little bit earlier this week, was the teams have in place, and I never really realized this until we brought it up, and I'd heard something about it in an interview earlier this week. Teams prepare for let me start this over. Teams prepare
to play in the rain.
Yeah, they prepare.
They practice with a wet ball.
Yeah, they practice with wet balls. They practice. They'll run sprinklers out there, and you go out there and play in them to kind of prepare you for it. And I was listening to Kirby. I think you told me that you were listening to an interview with Nick Saban. I listened to something that Kirby said, and he said really they have that in place where not every practice, but at least once every week or every 2 weeks, they'll get in there and they'll practice for a rain game. And if they know that they got rain on the horizon, they'll practice a little bit more that week for it, which I'd never really thought about. But that's actually pretty neat and pretty smart as well to, kind of prepare yourself for that and prepare being able to play in a rainy game, because they do happen every often. And this is one of those cases there alone. So, and it's going to be like that. I know we said it earlier. It's going to be like that a lot in the Southeast this weekend. So I'm sure plenty of teams all week long have been doing that same thing, preparing for the rain. And, that's all you can do. Prepare as much as you can. And when game time comes, that's just all you get, Yeah,
I think right now they're only predicting 2 games to actually be played with just some clouds, and that's Florida and at College Station and Missouri and LSU up there in Columbia.
Yeah, I see the Arkansas-Auburn game looks wet. Alabama-Ole Miss looks wet. Clemson-Miami looks wet.
So,
few of them there. But
down, 4 o'clock Eastern, you have Arkansas taking on number 13 Auburn. They're at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Auburn coming off that loss last week to Georgia. We'll find out, like you mentioned, we'll find out which teams this week are going to be your real teams to watch out for.
Yeah.
Auburn, I think they're just in a slump. I mean, watching the players on the field, it's like they just didn't care. They were just ready to go home. And you can't do that in a game.
No.
Especially not one that was that close at that time. Because anything can happen in the last quarter. But
you talking about the Auburn and Georgia game last weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't close in the fourth quarter.
Well, I'm saying, they give up after halftime.
He did give up. I remember texting you and saying, I can't believe that Gus, even in the fourth quarter, there was still 5.5 minutes left, and Gus just decides to punt the ball instead of going it on fourth down and giving your team a chance. When he did that with 5 minutes to left, I was like, well, we don't have to worry about anything. We can coast to this because he's completely given up on his team. I think if they lose to Arkansas this weekend, you can kiss Gus Malzahn goodbye at Auburn.
Yeah, I think it's about time for the Gus bus to depart from Jordan-Hare. I mean,
I think we've thought it's going to happen many a time. But he keeps beating Alabama at the end of the year, and they say, oh, well, you're beating the best team in the country, so you can stick around a little longer.
Well, he gets lucky at the end of the year is what it is.
True.
But continue on down into your night game, 7:30. Alabama taking on Ole Miss. That game has been moved up in time. Original kickoff was 5. They moved it up to 6:30. Central, 7:30 Eastern. That game being played on ESPN. Ole Miss coming off a win off of Kentucky, and then beat down from Florida. Where there was just absolutely no defense on Ole Miss part. They're allowing Florida to score 51 points on them. I know we talked about it earlier in the week. The next 3 games now. All the next 3 games that Bama has against Saban assistant coaching. This week they got Lane Kiffin. Next week we have Kirby, and then finishing up we have Jeremy Pruitt. So we'll definitely see, which one of the 4 can finally take down the head honcho.
What was the picture that you sent me earlier that Lane Kiffin?
So I saw something on ESPN.
Yeah, ESPN college football. I see that on Twitter here.
That Lane Kiffin with his group chat with Will Muschamp, who's a former coach, Jerry Pruitt, who's a former coach, and Kirby Smart, who's all 4 of them have worked under Saban at some point. Shared a picture apparently off to the other 3 saying we all have the same father. Talking about Saban. And if you haven't heard, Saban's now 20-0.
Oh, yeah.
Against his assistants. Looking to make it 21-0 after this weekend.
Yeah.
Unless Lane pulled out some trick out of his butt, because he'll try it.
Hey, it can always happen. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and jump into, I'm going to get a little bit of music going for us because it's kind of nice to have some in the background as we kind of transition from one thing to the next. So I'll put a little bit up here for us. Let's go ahead and jump into our bet lines of the week. Let me just double check and make sure this is right. Yeah, we'll run through the bet lines for all your teams around the SEC real quick. And as we do that, do you have them pulled up there in front of you? Or?
Yeah.
All right. You want to run through a couple real quick, and I'll follow you up. Let's see, there's 6 games, obviously, so if you want to run through 3, I'll run through 3. Shouldn't there be 7?
There's 7 games.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm missing one.
Yeah,
who am I missing? Hang on just a second. Let me look here. 1,
Call your
2,
teams out
3,
there which one you're missing.
5, 6. I'm missing a game. Florida and A&M, got them. Missouri and LSU, got them. Tennessee and Georgia, South Carolina and Vandy, Arkansas, Auburn. Ha! That's who I'm missing. Well, I tell you what, you start going through the lines, and I'll fix and add add Auburn in this thing because I got them right here. Won't take just a minute.
I'm going to start from the top. Florida's a 6.5 point favorite over A&M. Over and under in that game is 58. Honestly, I think that's pretty. I want Kellermond to come out and do something, but I just don't see them making a big change over the weekend.
Yeah. I hope they do. To be honest with you, I'm ready for them to come alive and make a difference in a game, for sure.
I won't have to say though. I haven't really seen much defense from either team. I mean, so far, A&M gave up 52 to Bama and they gave up 17 to Vandy.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take I'll take the over on 58 on that one.
Yeah, and by the way, when we're going through these for you guys that are watching, listening, what have you, these aren't our picks. This is just us going through talking about a couple of the games and what we feel on them. We'll get to our true picks, our weekly bet lines, and our weekly picks here in just a minute. This is just going through kind of how we feel about a few of the games. If you want to save the couple of games that you got picked, just save those for our pick segment coming up. But you can, obviously you can go through a few of the others.
Alrighty.
Just go through all of them outside of your picks, and then I'll do the same thing.
Well, I only got one in here I'm picking.
Perfect.
Missouri LSU game. LSU's a 14-point favorite in that one. Over and under 54 points. I think that's a pretty safe bet on that one. I ain't really seen a whole lot from Missouri to make me say otherwise, and LSU just needs to step up in that game. So that one you can take either way, but I think that one comes out as a pretty safe bet.
Yeah.
There with LSU, Missouri. You want to commentate or?
Yeah. I was going to let you run through all of them and how you felt.
Okay.
Or we can go back and forth. That's fine.
Yeah, so you go back
let's do that. Well, I'll catch up and I'll start back up at the Florida. I'll catch up to the Mizzou and move on. So, like you said, Florida 6.5, Texas A&M. I really want Texas A&M to come alive right here, and being at home, maybe their defense does start to do something here. But I will say that 6.5 line, that's really, really close. If it's me, I'm probably going to take Florida, given the 6.5 points, just because I don't know. I feel like they might beat Texas A&M by about 10. That over under is kind of iffy. If A&M's if their offense can kind of light up and come alive, I could see taking the over because Florida's offense, they're going to be there. A lot of it just depends on what Texas A&M does. If they just kind of play lackluster how they have and aren't competitive in this game, I could see this one being like a 27-3 or 27-7. So then you're taking the under, but I think Florida's offense is going to be alive. If Texas A&M's offense can be alive, you'll take that over. But I would take Florida laying those 6.5 because I think they'd beat them by probably 10 in this one. So then you got Mizzou at LSU, like you said, LSU 14-point favorite over under 54. I like LSU with 14. I think they'll beat them by more than 14, but. Yeah, that was kind of hard. Because they didn't against Mississippi State. Mizzou's defense isn't bad. That one's kind of tough for me to think about there for a minute. Let's see. I don't really have a good pick on that one. I don't have the best pick. I will say this. If I pick on that one, that would be an under. I'd take the under on 54. Yeah, I think I just take the under on 54. I feel like this is going to be a low scoring game. But I don't like that LSU number at 14 right now. So give me the under there. Let's see. I picked Tennessee and Georgia, so we'll get to that one in a minute. Did you have a pick on that game?
Tennessee and Georgia.
Yeah. Let's see. No, you ain't got a pick in it. Your only pick's the Bama, Ole Miss. So you do the Tennessee Georgia, and then I'll jump in with Bama Ole Miss after that.
Okay. They got that game predicted a 12.5-point favorite for Georgia, over and under 43. So they got some defense predicted for that game, which I can see. Georgia's going to step up really well against Tennessee. They always do. They're going to try to predict that little last-minute miracle that Tennessee lost the death throw on them a couple years ago. But I like that. I take Georgia I take them 14. Just because I think the offense finally gets up on cylinders. They're going to probably start Stetson Bennett again.
Oh, yeah.
I think we actually may see JT Daniels finally play. Because I know he got cleared last week, and we've been waiting to see what he can do. So,
yeah. Yeah, and the show that I do by myself, I kind of had a little bit of speculation of what if Kirby's doing a little bit of this Nick Saban guru stuff, and he's kind of saving JT for if he really needs him. Because even at the end of the Auburn game, he didn't come in that one. DeWine came in and kind of did a little bit of mop-up duty. So I'm wondering if he's not doing a little Jalen Tua kind of, we got somebody on the back burner in case we need him that's really good. Because I know he's taking reps, but we'll get to that in the pick. So you thinking Georgia by 2 touchdowns on that one?
Yeah, I give Georgia 14 on that one.
Yeah, I got you. Well, moving on, like I say, I'm picking that one in a minute. We'll get to it. You're going to pick the Bama Ole Miss game coming up, so I'll jump into it. Bama is a 23.5 point favorite at Ole Miss. The over/under on that was 69.5. Give me the over. Give me the over. Bama's got a potent offense. Their defense is starting to get stuff figured out, but still has yet to show me that they can really, really stop a team and hold them to lower points. Ole Miss, same thing, had a really good offense, but Ole Miss does not have a defense at all. So we'll kind of see, but I like the over on that one because I can see this game being similar to how Bama played a couple weeks ago. I can see this game being a 52-30 or 52-27, something like that. I could see both of them putting up some points and give me that over. I don't like the 23.5 for Bama though. Just in case you do see like a 50-30, they keep it a little bit closer. It's still plenty of high enough number for sure, but mine on that, as far as if I was picking it, give me the over on the 69.5 there. What you got on South Carolina Vandy?
South Carolina Vandy got South Carolina favorite 13.5 points on that, over and under 41.5. I'll take the South Carolina 13.5 over Vandy. 41.5. Vandy really ain't showed a whole lot of defenses this past year, but South Carolina seems to be struggling at the same time. So I think I'd have to take the 40. I'd take the under 41 on that one.
Yeah, we're in accord on that one. I don't want to do anything with that 13.5 there for South Carolina just because, they may end up beating them by 2 touchdowns, and you could see this game being a 21-7 kind of score or 21-14. I mean, it's kind of hard to say, but I'm like you, definitely under that 41.5 because I don't think either of them have much of an offense, and that's why that number is as low as it is. Moving on, you got the Mississippi State at Kentucky. Kentucky's only a 2 point favorite there at home. Over under on that one's 57.5. Woo, that one's tight. That one is tight. I'm kind of surprised that Kentucky is a 2 point favorite in this one. I think Mississippi State's going to beat them. I think they're going to beat Kentucky at the house. I do like that the number's at 2 close, but I would take Mississippi State outright in this one. And as far as the over-under goes, that one's kind of tough. I'm not going to play with the over-under, but I think Mississippi State wins this one outright.
I'm going to go Kentucky. I think Kentucky, they're coming off those 2 weeks where they kind of struggled. They did put up some decent points against Ole Miss. Put up 13 against Auburn. They're in Jordan-Hare, but at the same time, I think with them being home, that they'll get that advantage over Mississippi State.
Yeah.
And I see them winning. I'll say a touchdown. Give me a touchdown, Kentucky over Mississippi State.
All right.
But give me the under. I don't see that. I see that game staying low.
Yeah.
I don't see honestly the score either team getting out of 28 points.
Yeah, I can get with that. For sure. All right, so your last game of the weekend, as far as SEC goes, you got Arkansas at Auburn there. Auburn is a 13.5 point favorite. The over under is 46. This one's tough for me because, like I said earlier, Auburn I don't think it's a bad team. And preseason, I thought that Arkansas was going to be about the same, and I really thought the only win that Arkansas would get is a team out of the Mississippi. But I thought it'd be Ole Miss, not Mississippi State. And for Mississippi State to have done what they did to LSU starting the season, and then to have lost to Arkansas last week, it's difficult. I don't know if one of them's good. I don't know if one of them's bad. It's really hard to tell. So I don't want Auburn to lose this weekend, but I think it would be kind of like we said in the LSU Mississippi State game starting the season. It would be kind of interesting to see how Arkansas come in and give Auburn the old right there Fred in the face. I don't know. I could, because at the same time I could also see Auburn really taking care of business and coming off of that loss to Georgia and really kind of showing off and seeing how they do against Arkansas. As far as that over/under 46, so I at least picked something in this one. Give me the under 46. I think this one's going to be a little bit low-scoring affair too, because Arkansas's defense isn't terrible, and I think they kind of hold Auburn down. But their offense with Felipe Franks, they're not putting up a lot of points. So at least give me the under 46 on this one. But I don't want anything to do with that 13.5.
Yeah, I can say that. Auburn coming off that loss last week to Georgia. They come back home playing Arkansas. Arkansas is coming off a win over Mississippi State. Felipe Franks seems like he's doing pretty good there in the backfield, but I think Auburn at home is going to be a little too much for Felipe Franks and the Arkansas Razorbacks to handle.
Yeah.
I'm with you on the under. Give me the under on that game. I don't see that being very high scoring. But I think Auburn comes out here and actually starts playing football like they know how to.
Yeah.
Kind of saving Gus's butt for the most part.
I got you. Well, that'll play right into part with MadDawg's picks of the week that I'll put up here for you. He is taking Auburn. He's doing the same, I think, as we are, taking that under 46.5. Didn't give me a score on any of these, but he did at least put up that Arkansas-Auburn game under 46.5. He also picked in the Georgia-Tennessee game. He took the over 42.5 and took that one with Georgia there. He does think that Georgia gets the win and that they put it over 42.5. And then he's got the upset, the game of the week. He's got the upset. He's taken Miami with the points, 14, and giving them the upset over Clemson this weekend. His record's not all that great, so he's trying to redeem himself. He's 1-2 on the year, not necessarily perfect, but it is what it is. If he can get all three, well, technically four, because he's taking the points with Miami and them overall winning, so that's 2 there, and then 2 in each of the other games, so he could turn this thing around and be 5-2 just like that. So what do you have any kind of feelings on his? I know some of his actually kind of match up with a few of our picks. So I tell you what, why don't we go ahead and jump into our picks of the weekend, and we can go from there as far as that goes. If you're good.
Yeah, go ahead and run through yours, and then I'll do mine.
Okay. All right. Let me see. I'll get mine pulled up here for us so everybody can see. This is it so far on the year, 3-1. I'm gonna take Georgia, Tennessee. Georgia, I think, wins this one 31-13. I'm gonna do 2 picks on this one. Georgia's laying the points. I think it may be 12.5. What's the last number we read on this?
12.5.
It is 12.5. Okay, I got to I got to put in here as 12. But still, I'm taking Georgia with the 12.5. And I'm also going to take that over. So I'm going to do 2 picks in that one game there. Give me Georgia with the points and over 42. And then in the other, it's the Miami-Clemson. I think between MadDawg and probably you as well, I think we're kind of in accord as far as who we're picking on this one. I like Miami to cover the points, 14 there. I see this game going one of 2 ways. I see Miami winning by a field goal, or I see Clemson winning by a field goal. But I'm not going to pick the upset. Again, I think it would be fun to see, but I'm not going to pick the upset on that one. My pick's just going to be Miami with the points there at 14.
Those your 2 picks?
Yeah, that's it. That's all I had this week was just 2 of them. kind of to allow you to also kind of catch up last week, not having too many. But if you want to go ahead and jump in with yours, we'll pull them up here and go through them, brother.
Yeah. I'm doing 3 picks this week.
Okay. Well, technically, we'll get to it. Go ahead.
Huh?
Go ahead. Sorry.
I had 2 picks outside the SEC and 1 inside the SEC, of course. Which one do you got first?
It doesn't matter. They're all up there at the same time.
Okay. I'll just stay in the SEC real quick.
Right.
I'm picking the Bama and Ole Miss game. I think Saban continues his streak of whooping up on his assistants and still teaching them that you can't beat the master. Give me Bama over Ole Miss in that one. Give me the under on that game. 69.5 is a little up there. I think our defense steps up really more in this game, and you've actually seen the Alabama defense that you've seen in the past.
You taking the under on that game there?
Yeah, I'll take the under on that one.
Okay.
As far as points go, give me 20. I don't know if they cleared 23, but I'll say they cleared 21 easily. I'll say Bama goes, let's say 42-21.
All right, I'm going to update this visually for us because I didn't have it up there like that. So I like that score, though. That's a pretty good score there.
We'll give it some big plays just because we always do. Yeah. But I think Bama's defense steps up and
I'll update
shows,
your pick being the over-under. So you're taking the under on that, which was 69.5, you said?
Well,
it's still under.
Is it?
Yeah, 63 is what you got picked.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's it.
There you go. I'll update for you guys visually what his pick ended up being on this one, 42-21, under 69.5 on the pick. I don't know why I had it wrong. I guess when you told me earlier that you were taking the under, I, for whatever reason, took the points there for Alabama. But anyway, we're good. Got it updated visually for us, at least for you guys watching. Roll on with what you got, man.
The second game I'm going with the ACC meet-up beatdown. Number 7 Miami, number 1 Clemson. Give me the underdog in Miami. I don't think they cleared the 14. Give me Miami by 7.
No, you're good. You're good. Clemson's the favorite by 14. So if you give Miami, you're giving them the all-out win, right?
Yeah, Miami all-out win.
Yeah, they cover the points. So you're laying the 14, obviously, and then with the all-out win. So that'll be counted as 2 because you give Miami the win, which is obviously covering the points and just overall Miami.
And then my last one, I'm going to go with the traditional rivalry game there and the borderlines of Oklahoma and Texas in the Red River rivalry. Give me Texas. Give me number 22 Texas. I think Oklahoma's they're in that slump. I mean, Spencer Rattler there at Oklahoma, he's thrown for 977 yards and 10 touchdowns this year. But Oklahoma has just not impressed me. They had those 2 losses to Kansas State and Iowa State back-to-back, and both times Kansas State by a field goal and Iowa State by a touchdown.
Yeah. I
think Texas is too much to handle for Oklahoma, and they just – I think Texas clears them out.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that Oklahoma ended up being a 2.5 point favorite in this one. By the way, just watching a final on this Houston game, 49-31, Houston does take down Tulane. So they move on in the season. So running through our picks real quick just to let you guys, I guess mainly listening kind of to be able to hear what we ended up with here. Let me swap my screen here so you're not just staring at it. I am 3-1 on the year so far. I'm picking Georgia, laying the points at 12, and I'm also picking the over on that one, 42.5, I think is what you said it was. I didn't update that for you visually, but anyways, I'm also taking Miami with the points at 14 there in the Clemson game. I'm not doing like you and taking the all-out win in it, but I'm at least picking them to cover that 14 points. Cody, you're 2-0 so far on the year. You have taken Miami in the overall win, which is covering the points and the win, so that'll be 2 picks for you in that one game. Texas and Oklahoma. Oklahoma is the 2.5-point favorite. You're also doing the same thing in that one. You're taking the 2.5 points for Texas covering it and the overall win. So that'll be 2 picks. And then you're picking 42-21 in the Bama Ole Miss game, and you're taking the under 69.5. Just make sure I got all that right. So once I go to update it after the games this weekend, we'll have an updated ranking overall numbers for you as far as how our picks are doing so far this season. All that sound right? I know it's a lot for you.
It's harder when you don't see it.
Yeah, it does make it a lot tougher. So this whole thing's a whole lot easier when we can get together and make it happen. Technical difficulties don't seem to be a thing. You still with me?
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, well, we just talked about it and we lost them just that quick. Well, speaking of not seeing stuff, I know we went over it Sunday, but I'm going to go through your SEC East and West rankings. The last one we saw in Florida and Georgia both, and Tennessee, all three there at the top, 2-0. Kentucky, Missouri, South Carolina, and Vandy all at the bottom, 0-2. That's your East. Jumping back over to your West real quick. Let's see. Alabama, long dog, tied, whatever you want to call it, up there at the top, 2-0. Everybody else, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Auburn, LSU, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M, everybody else sits at 1-1 from the middle to the end of the pack there. Again, that's updating your SEC East and West rankings for you guys listening, and visually if you guys are watching it, same thing there. Let's see, looking through my notes here, that pretty much moves us on to our next segment of the night, which is going to be I'm not even going to do it. I was going to play a sound for us, but I'm not going to do it. But anyways, that'll move us on to our Under the Lights high school segment of the weekend. So, Cody, if you're ready for it, let's go ahead and start jumping through some of our high school games around the league. Let's start it off in Alabama if you've got them pulled up there for us, and we will get it rocking.
Yeah, I got finals right here if you want me to run through them real quick.
Yeah, that's right. We do have a couple of games that are starting off this weekend that are playing.
We'll start here at 7A class. Dothan gets the win. Dothan Wolves, that is, gets the win over Jeff Davis, 39-18.
Dothan got a win.
Dothan got a win.
I don't know. I wonder why the score is not even popping up for me.
I'm on WTV1.
Oh, you're looking at the local thing there. Oh, it also may help if I click the today's games instead of Fridays, because I'm looking towards Fridays.
Continuing on, Enterprise gets a win over Smith Station, 35-13 final there. So both of your big powerhouses over there get a win. Uvalde gets a win over Carver and Montgomery, 38-21. Continuing on down, Pike Grove visiting Headland comes down and hands a beating down there to the Headland Rams, 52-0 in that game. Poor old Headland. Rehoboth playing Charles Henderson. Rehoboth getting a win there, 29-14. Out there in Troy, Greenville taking on Carroll. That'll be on tomorrow night. Continuing down, Dale County loses to St. James, 52-26. Strong gets the win over Booker T. Washington, 31-20. Bullitt County gets the win over Ashford, 45-8. Alabama Christian and Geneva are scheduled for tomorrow night. Slocum gets the win over Daleville, 41-6. T.R. Miller gets the win over Hillcrest. Evergreen, 37-20. Pike County and Goshen are scheduled for tomorrow, along as Opp and Wicksburg. Providence Christian and Houston Academy, and New Brockton and Northside Methodist all scheduled for tomorrow.
Did Houston County and Geneva County, they end up playing this evening?
They did, and that game came out closer than we thought.
Really?
Houston County barely squeezed by, but Geneva County squeezed out the win, 21-14.
Holy cow.
So
the Lions defense must have showed up in that one.
Yeah.
Wow, I would have never expected to be in 1-5 against 5-1.
Oh no, I thought I was gonna be a blowout.
Man, well, I mean, I'm glad to hear it. Either way, I think the game of the week is going to end up being that Opp and Wicksburg game, being 6-1 Opp and 5-1 Wicksburg.
Oh yeah. Chino down Central, just visiting Highland Home. Highland Home getting the win there, 43-24. Harrington getting the win over Zion Chapel, 35-0. Evansville Yellow Jackets getting the win over Elba, 48-42. That was a really close game, also. Templeton getting the win over Red Level, 14-0. McKenzie getting the win over Kinston, 34-12. Brantley getting the win over Georgiana, 56-12. Florella getting the win over Pleasant Home, 68-7. That's the more score I was looking at for the Houston County and Geneva County game.
Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't, though. I'm glad they kept it a lot closer than they could have been.
Oh, yeah. Jumping over to the AISA, Evansville Christian gets the win over Coastal Valley, 59-0. Looks like Lowndes Academy and Lakeside are actually in the second quarter, 8-6 in that game. And running through a couple of Florida games real quick. Northview in Florida gets a win over Walton, 27-12. Baker gets a win over Freeport, 34-8. Jay gets the win over Chipley, 14-12. And that is your only game scheduled for tonight. You got Marianna taking on Bay, Bozeman taking on Sneeds, North Bay Haven taking on Holmes County, Vernon taking on Graceville, Cottondale taking on Franklin County, and Florida A&M taking on Bluntstown, all scheduled for tomorrow. Yeah,
a couple of good matchups. There were a lot more in the Thursday slate than I anticipated there end up being, after I mean, I know the storm and everything's coming through, but I didn't anticipate there being quite that many games that they were able to get moved to a Thursday, because I would imagine it's a pretty good deal to be able to move it, but I'm sure seeing this thing coming into the forecast earlier in the week, they probably decided, hey, let's go ahead and get this thing set up for Thursday instead of Friday, because at least then we know that the games come in. But I'm glad that you were able to also pull up some scores there, because unfortunately for myself, I'm not seeing them. And if a lot of these Georgia games have done the same thing, I'm just going to tell you who's going to be playing, whether they've already played or are playing tonight, or maybe I think everybody, for the most part, I mean, again, I'm not 100%, but I think for the most part, all the games over here in Georgia, we're far enough away from everything that's going on. They should still be able to, take place tomorrow evening. Maybe a little bit wet, maybe a little bit rainy, but we'll see. I hadn't seen. Yeah, if you got a score there in front of me, tell me if it's something out of Georgia. You got like South SGA taking on Robert Toombs or Miller County, Mitchell County?
No, it's showing Carroll taking on Rockwall. Carroll leading 21-0. Thompson taking on Gaston, 20-0 in that game. And Geyer taking on Lake Ridge. Geyer leading 21-7.
Gotcha. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and jump through our Georgia games over here. Let me just make sure that this one that I just saw on the last page is still on here. It's not, so let me just touch base on it real quick. Like I just said a minute ago, 3-1 SGA's taking on Robert Toombs Christian Academy at Robert Toombs. They're 0-2. That one should be tomorrow. Again, like I said, I'm not 100% if these games are being played this evening. I'm fairly certain most of them are being played tomorrow. The Miller County 1-3 taking on Mitchell County. 0-3 Mitchell County looking to get their first win on the season there at home. A couple of other good ones that are coming up this weekend. Crisp County 3-0 taking on Upson Lee, who is 3-1. One of the games of the weekend, you got 4-0 Pierce County taking on 4-0 Fitzgerald. Another one of the big ones is the 3-1 Coffee taking on 4-1 Camden County. So a couple of big dogs there. You got a lot of them that I'm looking at here now that are actually looking to line up to be pretty good between teams that are undefeated or only have one loss through the season. You got a 3-1 Wilcox County taking on 3-0 Montgomery County. 3-0 Colquitt County taking on 2-3 Northside. You got 3-0 Westwood. They're headed up to Twiggs Academy in Jefferson, Georgia. Twiggs is 0-3 on the season. Should be an easy win there, but don't ever overlook who you're playing. 1-1 Dublin taking on Dooley County. I guess Dooley County hadn't even started the season yet. They don't have any kind of record. 3-1 Warner Robins, taking on 3-1 Lee County. 3-1 Terrell Academy taking on 2-2 Brookwood. Tatnall 0-3 taking on 1-3 Berrien. Randolph Clay 0-3 taking on 1-1 Terrell County. Got 0-5 Brantley County taking on 2-2 Cook. Atkinson County 3-1 taking on 3-1 Turner County. Should be another good one there. Tiff County 0-2 taking on 3-1 Worth County. You got Irwin County, the Indians there 2-2, headed down to the undefeated Brooks County of 4-0. Crisp Academy 1-2 taking on 0-1 Solid Rock. A couple of the bigger games around the league are in high school talks. In progress right now is the number 2 North Shore, which is out of Texas. Also out of Texas playing Willis. Don't have a score up here for it, but moving on to a couple of others. Another one there in Texas. You got number 11 Carroll taking on Rockwall 11. Carroll is up 21-0 in the second quarter. Also in the second quarter, you got
on that game.
On which one?
Rockwall and Carroll.
Oh, I hadn't updated my screen. I'm telling you late scores. What did the Dale County end up? Wasn't it like 52-21? Oh yeah, I got it pulled up here now. Yeah, Rockwall ends up upsetting them. Yeah, 44-42. How about that? They were down 21. They came all the way and won it. I can feel that pain out of being a Georgia fan and a Braves fan and a Falcons fan. But anyway, moving on. Number 16 Thompson gets the win over Gadsden City, 48-0. Hoover. Big win there, 47-34 over Spain Park. In the second quarter, you got number 36 Geyer taking on Lake Ridge. 36-7 is the score there. Geyer's up big. There was a couple more out of Georgia that I'm no longer seeing. Corner Canyon, Sky Ridge. Corner Canyon, ranked 13th, gets the win by 3, 29-26. And a tight one here in the fourth quarter. You got number 47 Lone Peak taking on American Fork. Score there is 48-44. Lone Peak is barely up by 4 there in the fourth quarter, like I said. Don't know what happened to all my other scores because I did see that they had Grayson put on here. I don't know if they're playing. They may be playing tomorrow. But anyway, that's pretty much the run-through of some of your high school scores there. Another piece of good news that I did actually hear earlier this evening that I think, Cody, you will also enjoy knowing and hearing about, which, I mean, is what it is. And if I can just find the song, we'll be good. And I can't find it. What else is new? I don't know what happened to it. I had the old chop there for the Braves. The Braves do end up winning the National League Division Series today. They ended up sweeping the Marlins 3-0. Looked pretty good this afternoon. The bats got hot and rolling. Moving on to the NLCS, where they will play either the Padres or the Dodgers, and it looks like it's going to be the Dodgers. It's top of the 6th. Dodgers are up 8-2 on the Padres, and I think they're up 2-0 as well. So they look to sweep the Padres. Padres, you know, they're kind of struggling with some injuries themselves, but Atlanta gets the win today, 7-0 to win the division series and move on to the championship series there in the NL, and hopefully they can. I hope they do. I've rooted for the Braves for a long time, wanted them to get it, want them to win it, and really hope they do. We'll see. We'll see what comes of it. If we play the Dodgers, it's going to be tough because the Dodgers are good, and our pitching just has to do their thing, and the bats have to stay hot the entire time is basically what it boils down to there. Cody, you got any other news or anything for us?
Yeah, I got the biggest news of the day.
Oh boy!
We made it through a podcast, and there's hardly any technical difficulties.
Yeah, in it. Maybe before we had a little bit, but at least in it we don't. Pop it up here on the screen for you. You guys follow us on Twitter and Facebook at SEC Talk 20. Give us a follow, shoot us a message or what have you on there. However you want to do it. It's also running across the bottom of your screen there. As always, we appreciate you guys listening, and you guys just continue to listen with us. You'll notice jumping into the show this week, we played a little bit of some Van Halen for you, and we're going to do the same thing as we go and jump out of this one as well. So hope you guys enjoyed. Cody, you got anything closing for us here?
I think that's pretty much it. Just be with families and all that are in the path of Hurricane Delta as it makes its landfall.
Yeah.
Sometime tomorrow or midday. Not sure exactly when. But besides that, like you said, this is the SEC Talk with your host, Holden and Cody. And we appreciate y'all listening, guys.
We're out.